Alrighty, folks. It is 10:15 on the East Coast on a Wednesday night. Welcome to TwitchLine. Sorry, folks, we haven't been around as usual. Holiday weekends have sort of ruined the normal stream uploads, but we are indeed back. And it is going to be fantastic. So welcome back to everyone who is joining us on the channel today. It looks like here, though, we're just having a bit of stream issues as the stream is going to be buffering a little bit. But joining me as always here is my co-host and best friend, Mr. Acorn, also known as Tim. How are you doing today?
Doing well, sir. How have you been? It's been a pretty past few days, and the summer's full on here. But you doing all right?
I'm doing fantastic. I think it's been sort of like a fun week for me, especially for this. So like, getting really interested coming back here doing the Twitch line casts here. So looking forward to our topics today. Looks like hold on, we're having some issues here with the stream. I'm wondering if it's because I'm recording at the same time, I'm showing a huge amount of dropped frames here. So hold on for a second. Let's stop the recording. Let's see if that will actually do anything. Looks like here that has helped a lot. There it is. Streaming is actually now back to normal, as we see. So none of that delay here on Twitch or on YouTube. So I'm going to have to fix that while we sort of fix all the other things. But it's all right. We'll be okay. So sorry for the little bit of interruption here at the beginning of the show. For those who are just joining us, welcome to TwitchLine. As always, you can contact us here via our Gmail account, our email, your problems to us at twitchlinelove@gmail.com. You can tweet us also on Twitter at TwitchLine. Also, brand new for everybody, we have joined SoundCloud, and we will be uploading each individual segment that we do onto SoundCloud so that you can listen to it at your leisure on your telephone, on your tablet or on your computer device via SoundCloud. So we just try to make it easier. We try to divvy up all the individual segments there. So that's very, very cool. And for those who are joining us on YouTube, we are also co-streaming onto YouTube. Also, you can catch us on YouTube and Twitch at the same time. So it's absolutely fantastic for those who want to join us there. So lots of options for you guys to watch Twitchline and listen in on some relationship advice that we can hopefully provide to everyone there in internet land. So Tim, we're gonna move in here into our main screen. Hi everybody. And for everybody who are joining us on the live stream, you'll get to see a picture of myself in person, and then you'll see a photo here of Tim. For those joining us here on SoundCloud or via other devices, you'll be hearing just audio recordings of us, but we will try to make it as hopefully as enhancing as possible. So we move on to now our first topic, and our first topic is a little interesting one. It's for those guys out there who have a tendency to maybe hit on women too much. Tim, you want to sort of go into this a little bit, as this guy seems to be like a very sort of active person in the dating scene.
All right. So we're looking at Reddit dating, and it's a post by CraftSpace234. The title is "Hitting on Women Too Much? Advice." And he asks, "Do any of you frequently hit on women anywhere you go? I've been single for a while now, and I see beautiful women everywhere I go, like the gym, clubs, bars, work, grocery stores, etc. I want to hit on them, but I feel like I look like a creep, or I'm too thirsty doing it every time I see a hot girl. At the same time, I want to hit on as many women as I can because 9 out of 10 times it usually goes nowhere, and I'm bored being single. So I want to increase my chances. I don't know. Just something silly that's been on my mind. What do you think? Any suggestions or advice?" So, just the first thing that pops in my head is that, this guy's going for a statistical probability.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, you know, spray it out there, see what he hits. And, that's generally, yeah, it's a good way to get some kind of traction or some kind of attention back, but not necessarily for getting what you're looking for. So, from the get go, his method is kind of uh, troublesome, like I say, to say the least. He said he's single and he sees beautiful women everywhere. Uh huh. So grade. I don't think that means anything. I mean, if you're thirsty, he does seem like he's thirsty. Then yeah, he's gonna see women all over the place, and they're all gonna be options in his mind. But in the places that he's going, the gym, clubs, bars, yeah, that's where women go. So no surprise. Um, I think that there are actually multiple issues with his method. I mentioned just briefly before about this the spray method. Like when you're considering trying to hit on women or trying to get attention from women, you have to consider like quality versus quantity, and if how you invest your time in dating is probably going to come back to you as far as your success rate and how willing you are to continue doing what you're doing and putting yourself out there and making that effort. And that if you are putting out a lot of energy trying to go for the quantity and not getting much back or getting stuff back that you didn't really want in the first place, then you're not going to see it as valuable. So going for something like a smaller range but looking for more quality, I think is probably a better angle for this guy to go on.
Yeah, and the thing about it is like, as I read this, and I was sort of researching this particular topic, this is the type of guy that has the bad reputation when it comes to women. Like, women don't want to be hit on in particular locations. One of the worst places I think where guys get a bad rap of getting hit on, where women getting hit on, is at the gym. A lot of times, women just want to work out and don't want to deal with, you know, in their minds, skeezy guys at the gym while they're trying to just basically get their reps in and get out. I mean, it's one of those things. Is like, I understand this guy is thirsty because that there's no other way to sort of describe it. But at the same time, you're right. But I mean, if he really wants to go out there, I mean, there are other ways. I mean, he seems like he's more of a in person. I'd rather hit it on a person type person as opposed to going the online route or maybe via Tinder or something like that, where that might be a way where if he is going to sort of do the shotgun method, as we say, of basically dating, there is other ways to doing it, and I think he's more, I don't know, creepy in this particular way. Because if I'm a woman, I don't want a guy hitting on me in the grocery store or in the gym or some of the places that he mentions. It's awkward.
Right.
So.
You're so like an environment where being hit on is welcome. It's probably a better bet for him,
Hmm.
considering he's going for this. You know, I mean, kudos to him for being a person in today's society that can do this in person and not, not just through the apps because it's harder. It is, and you got to really put yourself out there doing it. But this guy is going to come across as a hound dog. He's going to be missing a lot just because he seems like he's just beautiful women everywhere. Okay, I'll go, 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 go. Like that's just not going to be it. So I think he needs to consider the environment, right? The
Hmm.
grocery store, girls are not going to the grocery store to get hit on. Never have I heard of any woman going to a grocery store because they wanted to get hit on by a guy there. It might happen. It might, some things do happen like that. But, you know, most women are just there to get their groceries and then go. At the gym, you get both. But still, you're much better off going to like a bar or a nightclub where the intent is to be social. And if you're looking for someone, it's easier to make that move. But I mean, just to say that it seems like his only standard is just that the woman be beautiful. And
Hmm.
if that's what you're going for, I don't have no idea what you're going to end up with. I mean, there are a lot of beautiful people out there that are trash in a lot of other ways, or, uh, like if your standard is just beauty for maybe a hookup or something, then maybe that's all you need and you're good to go there. But looking at this, like 9 out of 10 times it goes nowhere. It seems like he has a lot of experience and failure, and he's still going at it. So, beautiful or not, you know, he's still doing it, and he's still single. So, just increasing your chances is not going to get that thing done for him. Like just finding another group to hit on every single girl, and it's not going to increase his chances legitimately. I think this guy needs to probably focus a bit.
Yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right about that. You got to give it up to his confidence though, because we've read a lot of these sort of comments where a person is either meek or shy or unwilling to sort of go up to a woman and basically sort of, lose his chance at somebody that maybe he might have a chance with. This guy has no qualms with going up and basically seeing a woman that he feels is attractive to him and just going for it. And I don't know what some of the reaction of some of these women are, but I gotta believe that it's the, oh, I'm sorry, I have a boyfriend, or you get the typical responses of rejection and stuff like that. If it's one of those things that it doesn't bring him down, I guess that's a way to do it. But you're right; he should probably just sort of restrict it to places where he knows that he'd have a better shot. I mean, going out there and seeing a woman at a gas station, like for example, as he's filling up his tank and then hitting on her there is like, the hell is that going to do? It's not going to do anything. And like,
Yep.
it's like at the grocery store especially. It's like I just want food. You're more likely to hit a hangry person than you are to hit somebody that like, is going to be nice to you because they're just there to sort of do what they need to do and get out. So, I don't know. Well, it's one of those things in which I gotta believe that maybe though, like is there a possibility that he could be just sort of fascinated to the concept of beautiful women that are maybe not even in his league? And I don't even know if that is one of those things that we should probably talk about. But it's one of those things like you have no chance, dude. You can keep trying and keep doing it, and God, good for you for not getting yourself down about it. But if you're just going to try to hit on women in a random place, unless you're, I don't know, like Chris Hemsworth, I don't know if any woman is actually going to respond to you in the way that you sort of want.
Yeah.
So,
The the whole "I'm bored being single" is not a reason to date somebody. Like,
yes.
it's not a reason.
Hmm.
Like, it is not fair to the other person out there that you're trying to talk to. Like, they are probably looking for something more than just "I'm bored, entertain me." Like, come on, bro, you can do better than that. But it's actually funny though what you said before about "sorry, I have a boyfriend" thing. That's like a whole phenomenon now. Like, there's so many hounds out there, and so many dudes just like trying to get dates and hitting on girls that women have now become just so tired of it that
Hmm.
there's like this whole thing like, oh, sorry, I have a boyfriend. From, you say hello, sorry, I have a boyfriend. Or, give any sort of like, like we talked about a couple weeks ago, you know, the chivalry thing, like
Yeah,
just
yeah.
being kind to a woman can be interpreted as a come on. And so then you get the, oh, no, I have a boyfriend thing. Like, maybe you just want directions. You're like, hey, how do I get here? Oh, bro, come on, calm down. I have a boyfriend. It's like I'm just trying to get across town.
The thing about it is like there's a money making opportunity in that. So what I was thinking is with this phenomenon is you have one of these shirts that has like a flap on the front that you can sort of you hold it up with Velcro, and if you're a woman and a guy just starts like sort of hitting on you, you just unrelease the Velcro, and then there's a hidden message underneath the flap that says, "Sorry, I have a boyfriend," and just sort of walk away, and then just is like, read the chest, dude. Sorry, gotta go.
a separate a separate pull string that opens up a big weather balloon so you can float away.
Exactly.
See ya.
I mean, the thing about it is like taking it from a women's perspective. That this sort of looking at this real quick, it's like, this both us being guys don't have the insight as to what women sort of go through on a daily basis with regards to this. But it's got to be tiring, right? Especially if you are, you know, a woman who's just want to just go about your day and some random guy will just start talking to you and asking you questions in order to sort of get a little bit of insight, and then comes the move and stuff like that. It's like if it happens every day when you're just trying to do your normal things, it's got to be bothersome. So it's like him doing this on every woman that he thinks is beautiful has got to be, even to a point, annoying. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure there are guys out there that deal with it to an extent, but not like women, and not, and you have to think like it is not only the finest of men that are doing this stuff, right? A vast majority of these dudes are just thirsty and probably not, what these women are looking for. So that's doubled up annoying. If you're walking down the street and the most attractive person you've ever seen comes up to you and is like, "Hey, how you doing?" Like, it probably is not going to bother you that much. You might even walk away from it feeling like a little boost, like, "Yeah, this is nice. I got, that really attractive person thought I was hot. Yeah, good me." But if it's just like everywhere you go all day, yeah, it could make you not want to deal with anybody.
Yeah. So, top tip from us here: limit your options. Make sure you do it in a proper location, and stop hitting on women in grocery stores and places where uh, hitting on people is not necessarily beneficial to anybody. So limit those places to clubs, and I suggest this guy get a Tinder account as fast as he can. So if he really wants to shotgun it out there, start swiping right on a whole lot of women who are looking to not quote be bored. That's my advice to
There
this
you
guy.
go. Good one.
So
You want?
you know, yeah. So I just
You
want to
want?
wanted to just mention, like, if you're just joining us, welcome to TwitchLine. We've been away. Also, just remember to make sure that you sort of hit us up and the subscribe, not the subscribe, the follow button up there on Twitch. Follow us on Twitter at TwitchLine, and we're new to SoundCloud. So if you've missed a segment or two, you can catch us on our YouTube channel, which is down below. We're also streaming onto YouTube now. But you can also click on the bottom and see our SoundCloud playlist. Once this show is over, 3 new SoundCloud recordings will be up, and you can listen to us at your leisure on SoundCloud. So that'll be fun for everyone. So, yeah, we're going to go on to the next topic here. And this one's a longer one, Tim. You want to just sort of give the intro while I sort of get this sort of ready, and then I'll go ahead and read the Reddit link.
All right, sure. So, the title of this one is "The Most Embarrassing Way That You've Been Rejected." Uh, I'm sure that if we all sat around and shared our stories, we could have a good laugh at each other's expense and probably go home and feeling shamed. But uh, having being able to let it roll off and then continue on will put people in a position to succeed in the future. So, uh, Z, if you're ready to
Yeah.
read it up, you can go right ahead.
Yeah, let's take it away here. This is a very long post by Evil Dark Crow. This is actually on the R dating advice subreddit. So this is going to be a long read, so bear with me. So here we go. So this happened a month and a half ago. So back towards the end of April of this year, it's now early July. I went to Chick-fil-A up the road to grab a quick lunch. Good man, love Chick-fil-A. I was hungry, but in no particular hurry. It was a lunch rush, so they had all their people outside running in between stations taking orders and stuff. If you've ever been to their drive-thru during a rush, you know exactly what I mean. Yes, I do. Anyway, I happened to strike up small talk with this girl that works there while the line wasn't moving. She seemed really cool, and I thought we really hit it off. So it started about 2 weeks of me going to Chick-fil-A at the same time every day, and my bank statement that month certainly reflected this RIP checking account. And every day this girl and I would chat. Could be about anything. The weather, she spent a lot of times outside, so it certainly had a lot to say about that. Sports, TV. I learned she's a fan of The Office. What millennial isn't? When I came through, one sporting my Dunder Mifflin T-shirt. Anything. She seemed really interesting, and I thought she was interested in me. Even when I ran out of things to talk about, she found a way to keep the conversation going until the line started moving. Well, one day, I decided to go inside and get my food to go. The lane outside was way too long, and wouldn't you know it, she was working inside that day. So I order, sit down, and wait. And lo and behold, she comes with my food. We spent a couple of minutes just shooting this shit, but I didn't try to hold her up because I knew she was really busy. Now, I don't know if I was just feeling like a badass that day or what, but just as she started to walk away, I got up and tried to ask her out. And that's how I learned she's married. In a packed, tight restaurant, I may say. She was a good sport about it. She thanked me for the offer, and we both laughed it off. I ab-libbed my way out and got the hell out of Dodge. I think I did a good job of hiding it, but I was so embarrassed I actually quit going to that Chick-fil-A for a while. Now I want my chicken sandwich fix. I go to the one by work, not on the other side of town. But wait, there's more. I somehow wound up in the drive-through lane of fate a couple days ago. Now, keep in mind, it'd been a couple months since I'd been there. I order a drive around the corner, and there she is. Awkward. I was just passing through. I already paid and had my receipt, but she waved. I waved back. I had my window rolled down, so we exchanged, hey. The line was moving, so there was no time to talk. I guess I should be thankful that she doesn't seem to be bothered at all about my attempt to ask her out, or the fact that she still even recognizes me. But something about it seemed kind of awkward. Anyhow, I learned that day to always find a way to learn if somebody's already in a relationship before you try to ask them out. And a very busy public place isn't the best place to learn the hard way. Don't make the same mistake I did. What are some rejection stories you guys have to share? The funnier, the more embarrassing, the better. And what did you learn from these encounters? My man showing a very, very good attitude about his rejection there at Chick fil A, but this is actually a very positive attitude. He realized he made a mistake there at the end, not realizing that she was married there, working at the Chick fil A, even though, Chick fil A's are bastions for uh, underage workers. So you sort of have to be careful, I think, if you are over 18 and you see an attractive Chick fil A girl. There is a good possibility. They are one of the biggest hires of high school students in a lot of parts of the country. So you got to worry about that. Other than that, I think he really took it in a good attitude, and it is a learning opportunity for him to know, what you should be doing with regards to hitting on people. I think his method might have been quickened up a little bit. He definitely did take the slow way, and basically eat Chick Fil A for 2 straight weeks before actually going in there. Basically, give himself a Chick Fil A addiction before he went in, only to be rejected then by her in the end. But I don't know. This is one of those things that is weird. I think it's just a general part of dating where you have to sort of suffer these types of rejections to sort of learn lessons as you go through along, to understand what you can and can't do, or who should you approach. Approaching a fast food worker. I mean, I've had personal experience trying to approach a bartender who I thought was into me. That didn't happen correctly, and that turned into nothing. But when you become a regular for a bar or a restaurant or something like that, you start seeing things maybe that aren't necessarily there. That happens all the time, especially if a young lady is maybe behind the bar, or a young lady, like in this particular case, was serving you and was very nice to you. Guys have a lot of uh, issues sometimes recognizing what is between what is good customer service and what is actually liking you. So, it's one of those things that
Yeah.
I think is one of the most common mistakes that people make, but he definitely takes it in stride and sort of can laugh it off. It would be very, very embarrassing to a lot of people, but he just sort of, I think he sort of tempered his embarrassment a little bit and just showed that, like, it can happen to anyone. And I really like this post a lot.
Right. I think people need to be a little bit wary and perhaps recognize the danger of what I like to call the service industry smile. Like when someone is working as a waiter or waitress behind the bar, their livelihood is based on whether or not you leave a decent tip or not. Right. Their
Hmm.
basic wage is actually pretty low. So the charisma, all of that, it has to be high in order for them to get you to throw some extra money at them at the end. Go to Europe, right, and you'll see that just doesn't exist. The waiters and waitresses just they treat you like whatever
Yeah.
because they're just they have a solid salary. If you throw a tip at them over there, they generally appreciate it, and they're oftentimes surprised. But over here, you're generally gonna get better service if they think that they're gonna get a tip out of you. So if you are beautiful, there's a higher chance that you're going to get someone's uh, a tip on top of maybe more than usual, and then but people start to get mixed messages, right? They see someone smiling at them and paying them more attention. Oh, they remembered my name and things like that. Like you have to be able to pull apart what is genuine interest, and then what is I'm trying to get my money interest.
Hmm.
So learning how to read those signals and to not misread certain body language signals. Um, d- and oftentimes, what you have to consider is like outside of this type of interaction, would these things be occurring? And are they testing the validity of them by asking questions that might if you ask a personal question, they to a stranger, they're probably not going to answer it. But if you've known this person for a little bit, you come back a few times, and then they feel more comfortable with you and open up with you, then perhaps it's okay. So, like this guy, I don't think he misread her signals because I think that they developed something a little more than the standard going through the drive-through experience. But you know, married, that
Yeah.
happens. She's just friendly. She probably has some guy friends, and that's just normal for her. And he was misreading it.
Yeah. Well, you
Sorry.
definitely like that. I mean, like all guys love attention when it comes from beautiful women, but there's some things that you can sort of see, and I think we've talked about body language before on this cast, where you you should know if a person is hitting on you through certain reactions with the body. One typical one is if someone is constantly sort of touching you, like reaching for you, touching your hand, sort of being very, very nice in that sort of way. There are other body language signals with regards to that, teasing. Like females have a tendency to tease their hair. Always, in a way, they're overly attentive, eye contact, things like that. There are body responses with regards to knowing exactly if somebody is flirting with you. The problematic ones is that if that is just normal parts of their interactions with everyone, then it can be sort of misconstrued as flirting. So it is one of those things that is a little different. And unfortunately for him, like she was a restaurant worker, so there was no way to sort of see how she was going to react in a different sort of situation. Because a lot of the times, if you see a person, uh, if you sort of start to like a person, if you're there at work, for example, you see how they react to co-workers versus how they react to you. And if the reaction is a little different with Jim over there in finance versus you in sales, where she's very giggly with you and very talkative, but with Jim, she's very sort of very professional and doesn't even want to sort of, is only looking at him in the eye and doesn't want to get close to him, then there's a little bit of, different reactions. So it's one of those things, I guess, that is, you live and learn and you try to sort of figure it out, and hopefully it doesn't happen too often, but it will happen to everyone. So,
Yeah, for sure. And some of that stuff you just through practice you'll get more comfortable with it. And reading those signals and that. Um, so I was having a conversation with my wife about this actually, and sh- she's bilingual in English and Chinese, and told me that there's an expression in Chinese that basically translates to a good rabbit doesn't eat grass near its burrow, right? And the crude American version is don't shit where
shit
you
where you
eat.
eat.
But
Yeah.
basically, like if this dude is in love with Chick-fil-A, um, you probably don't want to start hitting on and asking out the waitresses at Chick-fil-A, because when that doesn't go right, or if you become known as the guy who hits on the waitresses there, like or the staff there, you're gonna kind of ruin your favorite place to eat. And like this can apply to anything. You can talk about your workplace or just your favorite hangouts, the gym. You can be
Yeah.
that guy at the gym. So that's something to consider as well when you look at this whole uh, getting rejected thing. Like there are knock-on effects where uh, you might consider asking the person out outside of that place, or being more discreet about it, or just testing the waters a little bit instead of just directly asking out to kind of see if maybe there's something more there, and giving them the opportunity to make it more clear to you that they would accept that kind of attention. Uh, so actually, I have a story of a time when my friends and I went to a pool hall. It's a pool hall restaurant. We used to go there a lot, and there was a waitress there that was really cute and was helping us out, and we all agreed that she was attractive, and I was like the only one single there at the time. And I was like, "Oh man, I'm gonna ask her out. We'll have to, but not this time." And then so I ended up waiting a little bit, came back, all three of us again, like a week later. She was there again. I was like, "Oh man, I really want to do it," but I was kind of nervous. Uh, my friends were total dicks, like putting on like James Brown music and like saying weird stuff at the table whenever she came by, leaving like way too large tips, and
Hmm.
it was just awkward. And then when I finally came around to asking her out on my own at a separate time, uh, it was the same thing. Like very, very happy, friendly. Oh, I'm married. And then like she tried to keep the conversation going, trying to like make it easier on me because I guess she was a really nice person.
Hmm.
And I was just awkwarded out and just sort of dipped.
Yeah.
but but that wasn't a big fail. I didn't stop going there. Um, and you learn something from the process, but uh, you know, just we all have these things. We all got to take it on the chin and keep moving. So
Yeah.
that
There's
sucks.
something to be said about just being forward a lot of the times when you actually are talking to somebody who you think you want to hit on. Sometimes like you get into a good conversation with a person, or you're a constant customer at a restaurant or a pool hall in Acorn's case. You can actually just be straight up. It's like, oh, I've seen you here so many times. So, what's your story? Attractive girl like you can't be single, right? So, what's the deal? And if you sort of question her and she says, no, I don't have anybody right now, I'm a student, and anything like that, then maybe you can get a little bit of the go. It's like, really? Single, huh? Or she might make up something right away that'll give you the immediate hint that there is no go, like if by saying, "Oh, she's married," or "I have a boyfriend," and then at that point, you can just sort of jump ship. There's some guys have the ability to sort of pull that out of people in interesting ways to sort of avoid that sort of uncomfortable. No, I'm sorry, I don't have a boyfriend, or oh, I'm sorry, I'm married. Sort of way. There are all multiple ways of approaching it, and it's just you learn via experience, and a lot of the times that experience is that way you got rejected that one time. So like mine would be at Four Courts at my favorite soccer bar. Uh, Tim's would be at a pool hall. But everybody has that story. So it's very interesting to see this particular story played out the way it is, and love to hear comments of other people's like sort of rejection stories, because those are always interesting to mention as we sort of go
Right,
along.
but I want to reinforce the idea that like it is good for you. Like rejection actually is good for you. It does help you.
Yes.
And it helps you to deal with embarrassment, which is actually a very useful skill. And if people can learn to shake things off, to try again after that, and to recognize that like failing does get easier, and that's not a problem, and that you can learn something about yourself through the process, and you can also kind of toughen up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then it's also like so many people have phobias of getting rejected. Like once it happens to you a few times, you realize it's actually not that bad, and then you don't carry it with you forever. I mean, here we are sitting about talking about these kind of stories, but we're laughing about it, and we're fine. We've had success since then. So like, people don't need to stop because of fear of being destroyed. And anyone who is really that harsh and that cruel to you in their rejection is no one you ever would have wanted to be with. So like, they did you a really huge favor by showing their true colors in the way that they smashed you up and tried to embarrass you publicly. Like those people, you don't want you don't want anything to do with them. So
Yep.
you're lucky if they show themselves in that
Yeah,
way.
it's a hard lesson, but it's one of those things that in the end is way better for you. And to the millennials out there who consider things being quote cringy, I say you got to power through that cringe. As Acorn says, it's like being able to sort of deal with those situations is super important, and you're absolutely right. And it is a life goal that I think that everybody as they're growing up needs to learn, or you live in this perpetual sort of void of like, oh, I hate feeling embarrassed, or I don't want to feel rejected, or I don't want to feel like that. It's like, you're sort of like a boxer. The more times you get hit, sometimes the better it is, because then you can sort of just power through it and go on to the next fight and stuff. So that's my little, I don't know if that really works, but that's basically what you were also saying too. So hopefully you hear these stories of rejection. You don't get down as anybody out there, but it seems like our Reddit person here, what was his name again? Just want to give him a shout out. Evil Dark Crow took it in stride and took this as a sort of a learning lesson. So good for him, and hopefully good for everyone that's listening to us and takes this as a good life goal. And again, if you are just joining us, we're 30 minutes into the broadcast. So welcome to TwitchLine. As always, remember, hit a follow up top. Follow us on Twitter at TwitchLine. At TwitchLine on Twitter, and listen to us on SoundCloud, or click on the YouTube channel, the YouTube logo below, and watch us on YouTube if that is your preferred method of listening and watching. So we go on now to our third topic, and this one I was actually sort of salivating about because I think this is a very, very interesting topic because we have charts on this one for for those at home, and this one is about real life versus online. And we're gonna sort of put up the Reddit screen here real quick just to show you who this was posted. This was from Costanza Bonanza. Tim. So like he was posting an issue about how many girlfriends he had met in person and versus online, and I think it actually brings up a very valid question here. So why don't you take it away with regards to this topic?
All right, sure. Let's go. So yeah, real life versus online. And Costanza Bonanza was saying, I was thinking earlier today how many of my past girlfriends that I met through non online circumstances would I have actually matched up with in a dating site situation. I imagine it's possible that I wouldn't have matched with them, any of them. In a couple cases, I probably would have nitpicked something about them. With a couple of them, I would have guaranteed that they were out of my league, and I wouldn't be surprised if every single one of them would have overlooked me without a second thought. This crossed my mind as I was leaving a local bar after watching the Women's World Cup game. I was chatting with the bartender for a good portion of the game, and I got to thinking on my way home what her profile version would look like online. Now, she's married, and I wasn't hitting on her, just taking the opportunity to be more social and so forth. But it dawned on me that if she was available, she would be worth getting to know better. However, if I hypothetically came across the same woman online, I would probably have had an entirely different take based on some superficial judgments, including but not limited to the fact that she's just a waitress. Damn that Ross. I guess it's a Friends reference.
That's it is a Friends reference. Yep.
Yeah. Uh, Now, I'm not suggesting that there aren't legitimate deal breakers that you can learn about someone ahead of time, but it makes you wonder how often you are passing over someone perfectly cool and worthwhile just because they don't check off enough immediate boxes. So yeah, this is this is a great topic,
Hmm.
and it's like great. It's a great food for thought because the world we live in now is, you know, speedily moving towards everything being done online, and people are losing the skills that they need to interact in, like a normal face-to-face interaction, but you still got to do it. And so between these two worlds, we are, we're having to kind of juggle. And this guy is, he's really onto something here. This concept that uh, the way you look on paper or the way that you write yourself up in a profile might not actually match with how someone would see you in real world, right? How much of your personality can you put down in a small section of a forum on a dating site that shows who you really are? And someone that you would have totally blown off and swiped away online might actually turn out to be the love of your life that you never would have met otherwise. So like it's really interesting. And I absolutely agree with it. Like when I go through my previous relationships, I don't know that many of them would have made sense on paper. Like all my long-term relationships, actually. And if either of us had to select the other from profile data, I don't know that we ever would have connected. So that's pretty significant, and it tells me that while those previous relationships did end for various reasons, uh, it's not to say that they weren't worth getting to know and like learning from. So g- someone going into the dating world and saying, "Oh, I've got my perfect person picked out. I just need to find them, and then once I meet them, we'll be good to go." It's just not. That's just not how it goes. It's not how it works. So, I mean, I just think that's pretty interesting. This thing the guy brought up.
No,
What do you think, Z?
I think it's an absolutely fantastic topic, and it's one of those things that I think that is one of those things I've been trying to sort of harp on people is that you don't know what's out there if you feel like you're just eliminating people for things that just don't check off your box. And I have a personal example that I sort of want to throw in here as the two there are two specific ones that I want to throw in. There was a girl in college that started dating me because we had similar interests, and this was an online relationship before online relationships got really popular through dating sites. But we met via via a mutual friend, and then kept talking via internet messenger, AIM, for those anybody who remembers AOL Instant Messenger. But we actually talked for a while before we actually started dating, and it was one of those things in which I got to know the person really really well. But when we met in person, she had seen a photo of me. I'd seen a photo of her. But I mean, with like 3 months into the relationship, she admitted I probably would have been a person that she would have not dated just because I'm not white. I'm Asian, and like I'm not the typical type of
What?
guy. Yeah. It's like not the typical type of guy that she would have gone out with, but she really liked the conversations that I had with her via AIM, and like what we would talk about, our interests and stuff like that was very very common, and we went out and it was cool. And it was an interesting admission from her because it's like, 3 months in, she was like, we were talking about all this stuff, and we were really happy in our relationship at the time, and it was one of those things that she really admitted. It was like, oh, okay. So, you can break that wall. And then the other example of it is that it was sort of ended up going out with a lawyer later on in my life who was very busy and would always do sort of stuff. But she ticked off all of the boxes that I would really want. She was very professional, very successful, very all this other stuff. And it was one of those things in which uh, theoretically she would have all of the things that I would want out of a person, but we just didn't mesh. It was everything that I would want in a person that I would think that I would want, but personality wise, it was just no. So, and we stayed friends, but it was one of those things in which it's like, how does this happen? So it's like, you have your expectations and you have what you think you want, and it doesn't work out, and you're like, wait, is that really what I want? But and then you do another thing where you're just happily talking to somebody you've met through a friend. All of a sudden, you start talking, late night talks, all this stuff. You get to really know the person. You got on a visit. Next thing, you're dating for 2 years. It's really really weird.
Yep.
So it is great food for thought because there are tons of people out there because internet dating is so prevalent that you are shutting off the rest of the world that I think that would enjoy who you are, but you literally are discarding them because they don't match either the amount of money that you make, or they don't approve of your political beliefs, or they don't approve of the way that you live or the groups that you are a part of. You own a gun. She doesn't like guns. Oh, sorry. Don't like that. Not even going to consider it. Well, you were a professional shooter, maybe. You were an Olympic shooter or something like that, and that's why you own a gun. It's like, it doesn't affect your personality in any sort of way. It was just one of those things. So it's very, very interesting, and I want to get your thoughts. You had made a chart here with regards to real life and online dating that I think we should absolutely show to everyone as we're as long also to our viewers here on the audio side. But we should read this off because I think it's very very interesting what is listed under both real life and online dating.
Yeah. So the reason I came up with this little two column list was I was thinking about like what are the differences between real life and online connections
Hmm.
and like the different factors at play when you're making these selections. And these are by far not all of them, but just some of the ones that seemed pretty important and came to my mind. Um, and I think it's important to consider these things when you are going out there in the real world and trying to pick someone up and or date, or when you're trying to do it online, because these things are at play whether you like it or not, or whether you're knowledgeable of it or not. So if we look at the real life column, and we'll just kind of compare it to the online as we go down the list. But um, in real life, you have limited information, right? When you walk into a room and you see a beautiful member of the opposite sex or same sex, or whatever, whoever you're into, you don't know anything about that person, where they're coming from, what they bring to the table. All you have are your visual cues. Whereas online, there's loads of information, perhaps even too much, you know, but a lot of that information is self-assessed. So someone says, "Hey, I'm the life of the party." Perhaps they are, perhaps they are not, but that's what they put there. Oh, do you like life of the party? Well, then here I am. And a lot of that stuff is also massaged, right? The information is massaged, like, uh, I'm 5'11". No, you're 5'7", but online, online you're 5'11". So there's something to consider there. In real life, there is a lot more risk, right? There's a higher risk, meaning higher anxiety.
Yep.
You have to walk across the room and risk being shut down and told, "No, I have a boyfriend," or or whatever. Get out of my face, freak. Uh, Whereas online dating, it's really low risk. Like, what is the worst thing that's going to happen to you? They don't respond to your text. They didn't swipe you. Like, you can go all day with that. You don't have to worry about getting shut down too often there. So that's another significant difference. For real life, social interaction can be telling, right?
Hmm.
Online, someone might look great, they might check all of your boxes, but you can't tell that they can't carry a conversation or that they are just like dead fish across the table because that's all they have. They get you know 2 minutes, 5 minutes to come up with a witty response to text back to you online, whereas you're talking to them face to face and they got nothing. So that kills the chemistry. Another big difference there. In real life, you can try to hide things and you can lie. Uh, and, I mean, yes, you can do that online as well, but
Hmm.
uh, the internet knows a lot,
Yeah.
right? You get someone's name, you do that sort of like background Facebook check, check their Instagram, check their LinkedIn. Who do they know? Oh, that's their wife? I'm not going to be with him. He's married. And like the guy at the bar who took his ring off, you can't tell that about him because he's
Hmm.
sitting there lying to you saying that, you know, he's ready for a relationship. Another difference in real life, your friends can help you, right? You got a wingman at the bar. Uh, he can set you up. He can talk about how great you are. You guys sit around and laugh, and everyone sees how great and funny you are. When you're online, you're on your own. Like there's no dating site that I know of that allows your friends to boost you up. Maybe that's the next big thing. I don't know, but um,
Maybe you came up with a
you know,
$1 million idea right
oh, I
there.
got plenty of these. I'm good with that. um, in real life, there are physiological factors that come into play, right?
Hmm.
Their body language, how they do they blush, do they touch you on your leg. Online, you got photos. That's all. Whatever you put up there is what they see, and that's it. So you don't get to deal with the other elements that can come into play when adding chemistry or sexuality to a situation online. You got text and you got whatever photos you had there. You can send a dick pic, I guess, if you're really romantic. You could do that.
That's a very
But
romantic gesture right there.
that's right, Romeo. Uh, Another real life element is that real life actually favors extroverts. Someone who's willing to cross that bar to go out and be exciting, loud, and to get attention out in public. Who's willing to even go out in public? But you compare that to someone who is, perhaps a little more introverted. They're going to be more successful online
Yeah.
because they don't need to be the center of attention and be big and be seen. They can just be themselves in their own quiet way, and it can come across in text. Just a couple more here. Uh, in real life, your options are limited to your line of sight, right? Uh, the only the people in the area around you that you can walk up to and ask out are going to be possible for you there, and you don't even know if they're single. So, are your options, if there are 25 people that you're interested in the bar that you're looking at thinking, oh, that's good, how many of those people are actually available to you in the way that they are single? And that's not even available to you, just that there's a possibility. But then you go online and it's limitless. Your search radius is as large as the planet if you're willing to go that far.
Yep.
You can cut it back and cut it back, cut it back, but you're still dealing with every single person that's created a profile and that's just out there looking, saying they're single. But do you really know if they're being honest? Are they who they say they are? Are you about to get catfished? It's hard to say. And the last one, also, but also very important in real life, who really knows what you're getting? Like, and this is the whole premise of this topic tonight.
Hmm.
You are about to interact with someone and start flirting with them and getting to know them. That person could be anything. They could have any kind of life experience. They could be the best person you ever met. They could be the worst person you ever met. But like you don't really you don't really know, and you have to learn through that experience of them there if there's someone you want to know again, as in let's get together later this week for dinner or something. Uh, but online, you're shopping. This is like walking down the aisle in the grocery store. You're selecting, and you have to actually know what is good for you and what you legitimately want to be able to do that. So, you got your checklist out and you're saying, "Oh, what I really want is this, 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 this." And it turns out you're much more drawn to someone who makes above this amount of money or is from, this part of the country, whatever it is. But does that actually mean that you're going to have a better chance of connecting with them and having a relationship with them that's fruitful and that goes on to the future? Or is it that you really don't know yourself that well and you're attracted to things that aren't actually going to bring you a great relationship and happiness? And you're gonna make a mistake because you've just selected what looks nice there rather than what's genuinely going to be good for you. So this is what, like, 10 different categories or something,
Yeah,
and
it's like
you
10
could probably
different
make
things.
it 50. It'd be easy. But they're all things to consider, and they're all things that are out there and in play when you are deciding whether you're going to do this thing online, if you're going to do this thing in person. And these things are it's tough. It's tough to, because you can't keep it all in your head at the same time when you're moving out there and trying things. But being aware that will help you make better decisions, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, and all of these things appeal to different people. It's when you start to combine stuff that you get sort of interesting results. Last, I'll end this on a personal story. Um, I was with my friend Madeline, and I had taken her to Turkey via. We were going to go visit our friends in Naples, and I turned on Tinder in Turkey. So like just to see, it's like, all right, what would they be able to get in Turkey? And I changed my profile, American in Istanbul, looking for a fun night out, would buy dinner on Tinder. You wouldn't believe the amount of swipes that I got in that in that place, just because people are interested and or wanting to do like interesting things. So like you mix like the extrovert in real life and the online limited options of online dating, and all of a sudden the world is at your feet in instances like that. It's a little weird because it's just like, it was very interesting, but you see the differences and you start to combine the two, you get some interesting results. But it's just one of those things. I think people are really, really limiting their options in a lot of cases, because they don't want to get it wrong. And I believe that it's not necessarily the best way to go about it, because you keep limiting your options, and all of a sudden you've limited your options until you are a little too old for some of the options that you wanted before, and you've basically priced yourself out of the market. And And that's not trying to be mean or anything like that, but there are a lot of stories of a lot of people who end up not in a relationship for an extended period of time and realize it was a mistake that they made, not considering uh going out or even dating people that were, quote, not who they were looking for because of their profiles and online dating relationships. So, you know,
Like you're talking about like self-selected disqualification,
that's exactly
like
right. So,
yeah.
because that
Okay.
happens a lot to people, especially in the online dating world. You self-select yourself out of the dating pool because you're either your standards are too high, or they're just one of those things that they have some but not all, and you end up becoming overly picky. So, in real life, you meet a nice guy or you meet a nice girl, all of a sudden you hit it off. If it doesn't go anywhere, you're not, it's no harm, no foul. But you absolutely at least have an interaction. You do something, you go out, maybe have a nice dinner, have a good time, but it doesn't work out. No harm, no foul. Maybe she
You learn
introduces you
something.
to, yeah, like, maybe she introduces you to a friend and you hit it off with that friend instead of her. A little rude, but it happens, you know?
Well, I think it's important also to think about like uh, not letting the best be the enemy of the good.
Yes.
And by that I mean like you may have in your mind an idea of what the perfect partner would look like, and you're looking for that, and you're going through trying to pick and choose. But you most people out there don't really know what they don't know. Like you learn so much by just dating and just knowing people, not even necessarily dating, just like spending time with people and
Hmm.
looking at other people's relationships and sort of seeing, hey, that actually is something that surprisingly is very attractive to me. I would have never thought about. I never had experience with in my dating life. So like I'm kind of adding that to my list of what I'm looking for. And other things which you could have sworn was so important to you, and you find out it was just stupid, that you were just, young and didn't really know that you didn't need that thing, or uh, that your priorities have shifted in
Hmm.
your life, and then you can make it better adjustments, better choices for yourself from that.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the with maturity and old age comes those choices, I think. So it's absolutely fantastic. So just to end then there, I think we've been on for an hour now, Mr. Tim. So I think we're just going to go ahead and sign off. But for those, again, who've been listening to us, thank you very much for our debate here versus real life and online on our third topic here. This is one of the more fascinating topics that I think we definitely should deep dive on a little more, because this is very, very topical for the people, especially around the dating scene now, because as it's becoming more prominent online, people are suffering even more issues that might not necessarily happen in person. But that's going to do it for us. Just a reminder for everybody who's been listening to the cast. We are here on Twitch. You can hit a follow up there at the top. If you like what you've heard, we talk about Reddit topics, we talk about general relationship advice, and we do topics on Sundays where we go in depth into one specific topic and talk about it for about 30 minutes or so, and we assess what is going on regarding that topic. And it's more of a deep dive, informational type cast that we do, but we also do that for those who are interested. So hit that follow button up top if you want to listen to more here on Twitch. But if you can't on Twitch, click below. You see our socials here on Twitter. Follow us at TwitchLine, and also put a subscribe onto our YouTube page, which you can click below, and we keep a repository of all of our shows there on YouTube. And starting tomorrow, you can listen to us on SoundCloud, and TwitchLine will be on SoundCloud. Just go search SoundCloud, and you'll see all the topics that you heard today. You can listen to it passively in your car if you want. It makes for a great drive into work or home from work if you want to listen to something interesting. Final thoughts on today's cast, Tim? I thought we had great topics that we were sort of going over with everybody.
Yeah, no, it's good. Every little thing helps. There are there's a vast amount of information available to learn through other people's experiences and other people's issues and their questions. So when we pull from Reddit, we're usually trying to get a little something of this, a little something of that. But over time, you find that a lot of people have the same problems, and a lot of people are looking. Basically everybody's looking for the same thing in the end, just connection. And somewhere out there, there's someone with the same issue as you, and over time, we're gonna get through all of it. We will conquer Reddit. So,
So follow us as we try to conquer Reddit. But I am Hodo. That has been Acorn. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we will talk to you next time.
good night.